some very exciting, engaging ways to teach grammar. So we're very excited for a new year that you join us for American TESOL. This will be our 5th year. And being that it is our 5th year, we have some more topics we're going to share. We have the ESLtech.com course, which is free for current students of American TESOL. And then we're going to be giving, if you're not a student of American TESOL, you can still check it out. Just go to ESLtech.com. We're going to be adding new topics. And of course, the webinars are always free, so you can join us every Friday. And then you can go to the American TESOL YouTube channel, and I'll add that in the chat box. And then you can find all of the videos that we've shared. There's actually hundreds of them, so you can go check them out. If you go to shelleyterrell.com/grammar, you'll find the bookmark. So in case you miss any links or anything like that, that's okay, because there's a blog post up there with the slides as well. So we're going to go ahead and begin. And while we begin, I always like to start with a quote. And I like this one the best of all the ones that I have looked at. This is actually a satire for, which was translated, but it says, he who climbs basically the grammar tree distinctly knows where noun and verb and participle, I can never pronounce that right, so I guess we're gonna have to do one on pronunciation. But I really like these pictures also by Monica Holly from Flickr, so you'll see a couple of them here. But I like this because it's like a poetry of grammar, and there's some really cool, interesting ways to look at grammar. So this was an interesting way to look at grammar. And we can do that for our students as well. So here is a picture that I actually took. I was observing a teacher in the UK. You might recognize her. Her name is Chia Swang. And Chia has, she's very, she's known out there. She writes for different ELT companies. But I was a joy to see her teach one of her classes. And many of you might be familiar with this if you've had CELTA or Delta training or TESOL training. If you've had, or you're an American TESOL student, then you'll see this type of method called visual graph. And this is a way to get your students to be able to visualize things like the past tense. You can see where she's drawing an arrow, future tense, where present progressive, how that works and stuff. So visual graphs are really great. You can have your students, and that's part of like a traditional method or methodology that is pretty common. Another method that is pretty common is if you use hand gestures. So things such as if you go back, and that means the past. We can also go forward, and that means the future. And there's different types of hand gestures. And when you're making corrections, these hand gestures, one method that teachers use is if their students are speaking and they make a mistake. Let's say that they, for example, made a mistake with the past, then you can go like that, and they'll know, okay, I made a mistake with the past tense. Let me correct that. But these are traditional methods that you practice with for a while with your students, and they get used to it. What I want to show you is different digital apps and web tools and methods for also getting your students to learn with their digital devices, because we know our students love digital devices. So we can get them to, we can take that same motivation, the motivation of them wanting to learn with their cell phones, their tablets, and their computers, their Chromebooks, whatever kind of technology they have, they can use to learn grammar too. So one of my favorite resources and activities I recently read about, and there's many, many teachers actually doing this around the world, but I found this handout from go.sadlier.com, go.sadlier.com, and they have a handout of celebrity tweets. Some from, example, Kanye West, who is known internationally. And then you correct the grammar. So if you want to try in the chat box, you can try and correct some of the grammar here, or say what you would correct from this. And it says, if you want to have dinner with me, book a table at the Spotted Pig when I'm back in NY. So you can correct this grammar, and then you can have students work in pair to do this. And then what I really like about this particular handout is that it gives your students have to give reasonings for their edit. So they learn the grammar and they learn the rules behind it. They can say what rules and why they made these corrections. So one of the things you might notice, and they'll also have different discussions and debates. This always brings debates when I present this at workshops, because one of the things that I say should be corrected is NY. And a lot of different students don't believe that should be corrected. And and this is interesting, because you begin to learn, and even though this isn't really written anywhere, your students start giving you grammar rules that are acceptable for tweeting, for posting status updates, and different things like this. So I think it's really, really interesting, because your students will make these arguments. Now, my argument isn't that it's an abbreviation that you use on Twitter. I know that is acceptable, but I believe that the more common usage is NYC. So he could have added a C, and that's usually the stance that I make when I'm talking about this. But of course, you're the teacher, and you can decide what are, you can decide different types of grammar you can go by. And I know from different countries that that's different as well. So I think it's really, really interesting. You can also have your students correct the grammar in different review sites. TripAdvisor, here's one that I took from Yelp. You can have them rate it, because and this is real reading and writing that they will do with their digital devices. More than likely, they're going to write a review of a restaurant, of an experience. Maybe they'll tweet something bad. So it's good to practice this kind of writing. It's small amounts of writing, so it's great for a 1-hour class period, 45 minutes. You can do this quite quickly as a lesson. So the students can see an example. They can rate what is the best review that they like. They can do a little poll about that. And then one of the things they can do is they can write, of course, why the reasonings behind choosing that review. Well, I feel like this review really lets me know about the menu. This review gave me some suggestions of what I should eat. This review included pictures. And then they can correct the grammar and write their own reviews. And they'll be motivated to, if they publish a review in different sites, then they'll be motivated to have that grammar correct, because they're publishing it online. So I do encourage you, when possible, to have them publish. A blog is very good for having students practice grammar and writing, and also practicing publishing. Now, the great thing about if they have a blog, there's different sites, such as Kid Blog, that will let you have this privately. They don't have to have a public blog. The other one, of course, is EduBlogs. EduBlogs is free. Kid Blog is not free anymore. It used to be free, but not anymore. So if you get something like Edmodo, if you use something like Edmodo, or if you use another LMS like Schoology, or even if you use WhatsApp or a Facebook group, you can have them go back and they can correct the grammar in their status updates. Even Google Communities. What I really like about Google Communities and Facebook groups is it lets you edit. On Twitter, you cannot edit. So a lot of times my students, they will keep writing things just so they can correct it. They'll keep correcting it, and I don't have to ask them to necessarily do that. Another idea is to use comics. I've shown you this resource before. It's Grammarman. I think Grammarman's fantastic. And Grammarman actually has a contest for students where they can create their own comic. And the other thing about it is they can also go and they can upload those comics. He shows all of these. Not only are they comics, but they're videos. He has made videos of all of them. So you click on, Uncle Uncountable, and you can see the comic, but you can also find the YouTube video that's free to watch. So all of these are really good resources. Another way that you can use comics, and this is an example from one of my students, she used Marvel Comics. So there's a lot of free comics. There's a lot of free comic tools for creating a comic out there. And when you look at it, then you can, in some of them, it allows, like Marvel Comics, for you to highlight and to color in the grammar structures. And so this particular one was with a Marvel Comics, and this was allowed. My students was able to add red and green. So what does red represent? What grammar structure? Does anyone know what grammar structure that would be? Anyone? I'm going to take off my video for those of you who are having problems with your if you're having problems with your internet. Hopefully that makes it better. So red would be, of course, which tense? Anyone know? Which she put there? She said, okay, parents. So she's talking about Spider-Man, and she said, my parents died, and I grew up with Uncle Ben. And yes, very good, Peggy. Yay, you get virtual chocolate for that. And so you can do it with nouns, with verbs, any kind of grammar structure that you're highlighting, and they can have fun because they get to make a comic, and it's a visual way for them to actually look at the grammar, and they'll remember it better because the brain, when we do visuals with students, they remember. There's different, okay, so GenkiEnglish.net isn't it's not free for the curriculum, but they have examples online, and they even have forums where they share different games, and so that you can access for free. One of the games and you can see that I'm playing it there, that's me with the puppet, and I'm in Croatia teaching these little kids grammar, and we're playing a game that I love playing with young learners, and it's called it's the students chant, Mr. Bear, how are you? And the bear answers, of course, I do it in a funny voice, and I say, I'm sad, I'm so sad. And then they say boo-hoo, or they make different reactions. But if Mr. Bear says, I'm hungry, then he runs around and he tags a child, and then it's their turn to repeat the same structure. So that's one way you can get children to learn grammar as well. They can play different games and have fun, and they learn the structure by repeating it, taking turns. And because we use a puppet, then they are more comfortable. I've seen that the students are very shy, especially if learning a different language, and they are more comfortable if a bear is involved or a puppet of some kind is involved. So I would definitely recommend that for young learners. There are many sites that you can use to drill grammar that make it fun. And instead of just having your students repeat a grammar structure again and again and again, and I know that that's a way that a lot of teachers, they chant. Games to learn. For Tiny Tap, they also have, can everyone hear me? Okay, good. So for Tiny Tap, they do have for Android and for iOS devices, where the students can create, they can use different soundtracks, they can put a little balloon when it gets right, they can add their own pictures. And if you just go to TinyTap and you don't have a tablet, you can go to TinyTap online and you can access many different games made by languages all over the world, and children. It has the children's voices. And so I've heard from teachers who teach 6-year-olds and some other age groups, young learners, that they don't have the technology to create the game, but that their students love playing the game. So that's definitely one that you might like. For older adults, one way to make it interesting is with video quizzes, and there's two that I like. Of course, there's tons that you can find if you go to if you go to the webinar for flipping. Okay, so I do have a webinar on flipped classroom, or and if you do that, I'm going to go ahead and give you the link. Then you'll be able to access even more of these video creation tools. But there's two specifically made for English language learners. And so the ones that I recommend are blubber.tv. You can take any YouTube video and then you can highlight it, pauses it, and then it interrupts it with this little trivia quiz down here. And of course, you make that. It takes like maybe 5 minutes to make one of these quizzes, even less. It's really quick and easy for teachers to do. The only disadvantage of it, it's free, but the only disadvantage, of course, would be that you can't embed it in your own site. But I really like it. I really like the platform and format, and you can just put in the link for your students to go and they can take the quiz. So you can look at different grammar videos. You could even take, because Grammarman's on YouTube, you can put a quiz to Grammarman videos. You can put, I'm going to show you some other YouTube video sites where you can use blubber.tv and create your own YouTube quiz. Another really good one, and I like the format of it. The only thing I don't like about this, well, I love ESL video. It looks more like a quiz. So it does look, for example, more like something they would see if they were going to take a standardized test. But the great thing is ESL video adds the transcript and notes, and it has questions, and they can even compete with other people around the world. Now, one thing about ESL video is that it has tons of ads. I haven't seen any inappropriate ads, therefore I think it's okay. I understand that a lot of these sites, they have to have ads to stay free. So that's something that you just have to deal with. But eslvideo.com, it is free. So I think that you can have extra stuff maybe without ads and things like that, and you pay for it. Get Kahoot, that's one of the favorite quiz games of learners around the world of any age, or of course maybe not toddlers, but older, maybe about 9 and over, really love playing Kahoot. It's a trivia game, so you can even put different pictures, grammar structures, things like that. And then you can create a trivia. They all will answer. They even have who answers the quickest. And then they're placed on a leaderboard, so they compete with their friends. They compete with everybody in the room. Then the students can also create their own trivia with the grammar they just learned. So you can get them to make their own quizzes and quiz their friends, which they love to do. Boggles World is one of my favorite sites, Boggles World ESL. I get a lot of different tools, and I've been using Boggles World for over a decade, and they're just a really great site. So one of the favorite features that I have, that I like about Boggles World, is their board game template. So you can print these out, you can put them on, you can paste it or put it on a cardboard backing or even a poster backing, and then you can even add like laminate it, and if you laminate it, then you have a board game that you can use with your students. A lot of times if a lesson's not going well, they have different ones. They have them for grammar. So here you have go school, play baseball, they roll dice, and then they can go and they can practice it. When my students get bored, when they get antsy, I'll take this out and we'll play at different intervals. So I really do enjoy it, and it's inexpensive. I didn't have to pay for it or anything like that. You can study the grammar structure in music. Students love music. They often, when I play music in the background, my students will sing it. They'll sing the songs when they color, when they work, when they do any kind of interactive worksheet, or they're doing a game on their if they do a game on a tablet. I always play English language songs in the background. I like Genki English, so I play theirs. They have great grammar songs for kids, and the students will sing it. They'll sing the song while they're doing their work. So that's one way to get them to practice grammar, because when they sing, they're practicing the different grammar structure. If you get um, songs that are related to grammar. Now, for an adult audience, you may want to try Fluency MC. Um, all around the world, language learners love Fluency MC. He has a YouTube channel with lots of free videos of him rapping and showing students different types of grammar structures. When I was recently in Venezuela, and I know there are some of you from Venezuela in the webinar today, I mentioned Fluency MC a lot. Jason Levine is his name, and we're really, really good friends. Yeah, Jason and I are really great friends. And I was mentioning him at one of the workshops I was doing, and a teacher came up to me after, and she's a English language teacher from Venezuela, and she says, my husband, he of course speaks Spanish, and the only way she got him to learn English, the only thing, he didn't want to use books or audio or anything. The only thing that he would use to learn English is Jason Levine's songs, so Fluency MC's raps. That's the only thing he would do. So even adults, even older adults, really love his raps as well. Not just children and not just teens, but teenagers do love him as well. You can highlight the grammar structures and different jokes. I have created this template just as a template. I might go back and I might put it in actual bingo. So, but right now I have an example, but it's joke bingo. And so I've created this, and it where the students, they have to go to each other and they have to tell a joke that has a preposition. Tell a knock knock joke, tell a food joke, tell a joke about an animal, a joke they've heard before, and then of course it's the bingo rules. And then so when they're telling the jokes, they can also have this the different kinds of jokes that they're saying, but they're also practicing the grammar structure, because a lot of times jokes have different forms that they follow. You can have them use their digital devices to practice grammar in chats. They can pretend to be different characters. Really famous right now, of course, is Star Wars, since the movie came out. You can have them play different characters in Star Wars, and they can create a chat to each other. They can either do it with their own devices, but they don't have to. You can even do it online. There's a tool, it's called Fake SMS by classtools.net. And classtools.net/SMS, and you'll find it. It's free. It's made by Russell Tarr, who makes incredible tools that are for teachers, and they're free. So you can do this, and then they can highlight the different grammar structures, or they can correct the grammar structure, or you can even give them vocabulary or grammar structure that they have to use within their within this chat. You can have ongoing chats. This is a teacher from Venezuela, Johannes Rojas, and Johannes uses WhatsApp with his students, and they practice different grammar. The more that they practice speaking English, the more they're able to and then if they can correct each other, if you allow in a private forum like this, like WhatsApp, they're together, or for example, if they have a Facebook group where they do all of this, it's closed. Edmodo, Schoology, those are the ones that I recommend. But if you do something like this, then it's a closed group. It's them with other students, and the great part about it is that they don't have to worry about being too shy about being corrected, because if you do this in a public forum, of course they're going to be very shy. But something like WhatsApp also has where they can use voice. You can correct with the voice. So if you do have one set up a class account with your students, you set up something like this, then you can go back and you can have you can correct with voice, and that makes it a little bit easier to do corrections. I've put a link below. It's shellyterrell.com/grammar, and you'll find the slides and the links and different resources. The other what I would also recommend that you show your students is how to use bookmarklets and extensions. A bookmarklet is what's in the bottom of the URL or the address on your browser. So it depends if you use, for example, Firefox, if you use grammar, things like, well, if you can't use WhatsApp, that's okay. You can use Schoology. Remind is a great tool. There's also Cell.ly, Schoology, Edmodo. All of those are made for education, so they might let you use that. So you have your bookmarklets. Now an extension is different. An extension, this is for Chrome. It's going to look a little different in Safari or Firefox, but these are free. You find them in the store for Firefox, the store for Google Chrome, the store for Safari. And there's one I particularly like, two of them for grammar. Read and Write, one of the best tools you'll ever find for language learners or for English learners as well. It helps you write papers. It helps them define words. It's just an amazing tool. You'll never find anything that's really amazing. It just does so many things. Your mind will be blown. It's like magic almost, because I show teachers and they're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe there's a tool that does this and it's free. The other one that's really good is Grammarly, Grammarly.com. It's an extension, but it's also a site. So they have a free version, and then of course they have premium. In the premium, it'll correct emails. But it's really good. Grammarly, I love their Facebook page. They come up with the funniest memes about grammar. You can even use those memes to help your students. They're such funny memes, and that's free. Their Facebook page of grammar memes to use with students and teach them grammar structure. It's really funny. I would recommend checking it out. But it also has here different types of ways that you can correct your writing. It gives you suggestions, and it's really just a great tool. You can have it as part of Google, and if they write papers on Google, it's much better than the grammar tool in Google. So it's great. There is some other really great tools as well. There's the Hemingway app, which blows my mind. It is actually not an app. You can type in HemingwayApp.com. It's just the name of it. I don't know why. start writing in it. Just copy and paste something that you've written. And it's really, really, really fantastic because what it does is it highlights. You can see where it's highlighted. When you click this, it's going to give you suggestions. It's going to say you may want to shorten the sentence. You may think about this. You may think about that. And then if you don't understand what they're commenting on, the feedback, it's like your own feedback for writing. It is so amazing. It'll blow your mind. You don't have to register or anything. Your students can just start writing in here and they can for free. So it's really awesome. It even explains the grammar rules. Adverbs are helpfully shown in blue. Get rid of them and pick verbs with force instead. So it's one of my free writing. It's one of my favorite free writing and grammar tools